Welcome to Suck My Fanfic, the internet's #1 most consistent live stream podcast. I'm Ryan, joined as always with my host, Alex. Alex, how are you doing?
Co-host. I don't want to have this discrepancy again. Hey, you said #1 whatever. I just want to point out that when you Google Suck My Fanfic, we're finally the...
Check out what the other person's up to.
Yeah, that's us. No, it looks like they changed their... the latest thing was June 4th.
Hey, our latest thing is today, right now, buddy.
Yeah, what the hell? It was... Okay, that's funny. They have the June 4th and then November 15th, 2019.
Wow. I guess maybe they're stepping up to the plate because they're so scared of us because we're on a roll.
Well, maybe, yeah. They were like, wait, hang on a second. These guys are doing what? Also, we have 10 more episodes. Actually, 11, counting this one. So, not going to make a big deal of the whole thing, but here we go.
Well, there you go. So,
dude, did you know that Mila Kunis and Ashton Kutcher don't bathe their kids?
Yeah, I did know that. I know that they only bathe infrequently. And when they do, it's only the essentials. Pits,
wait, is that what they
pits
said?
And tits, as they say, only.
Pits, tits, and dicks.
So anyway, we are Suck My Fanfic, the internet's one and only podcast that's named that. And we weekly / bi-weekly / occasionally get on here, talk about fanfiction, review fanfiction in a critical literary way, and discuss and get involved with the community. We start with an opening topic. Alex, I believe you have an opening topic for us today.
I do. I thought you were doing a good intro. I'm just letting you ride with the intro if you want to keep going. Go. What do we do after the opening topic?
Opening topic, we read a fan fiction scoured from the internet after painstaking hours of research. Think Gandalf looking for the mentions of the rings in the lost scripts. That's us, dusty scrolls looking for fan fictions for hours. The best fan fiction we can find, the most topical, the most provoking fan fiction possible. And then we find that, we read that to you, and we react, we talk about it.
I take some Professor umbrage with the Gandalf thing. I've never read the books. I got like halfway through The Hobbit when I was a kid and stopped, not for any reason. I've always heard people say Gandalf, off. But in the movies, they seem to say Gandalf. I started watching them. I'd never seen them before. So they all say Gandalf. And yeah, it's really annoying when Frodo's like, Gandalf! And I'm just like, Gandalf? I don't know. So, just wanted to throw that out there.
That's ever since my friend who likes Lord of the Rings way more than me, shout out to Kyle, said Gandalf. He corrected my one friend. We were like on the bus and we were talking, and he was kind of man of few words, but very powerful when he does speak. And we were like talking. We're like, oh yeah, this, and we were like, doing a bit or something, talking about Gandalf. And we're like, oh yeah, and then Gandalf comes, and then he goes Gandalf, and then he just goes back to like reading the book that he's reading. So I'll always remember that it's Gandalf.
Yeah, so I don't know. Why do we all say, like, literally everything I've ever heard, it was Gandalf. And then I'm like watching the movies, and I'm like, how did everyone get this wrong?
Casual. That's why you say Gandalf.
Yeah, I'm a normie. I'm a normie when it comes to this. I'll admit it. That's fine. I don't think my attention can be everywhere at all times. I'm not God or Kanye West, so I'm not omnipotent. So
but you can't didn't know that. You can't have a release drop on time. That is the one thing you can do that Kanye can't.
That's true, and I don't think I've lost my family just yet. So, I mean, there's still plenty of time. Fingers crossed it doesn't happen, though,
All right, so it was my turn this week to go to the depths of Minas Tirith and find a fic for you, and I did, and it's going to be delightful, but as mentioned, we have an opening topic, which is always supplied by our host, Alex.
Did you find the fic for me or for the listener?
I always find it for the listener. Who is you? Because you're the only one who listens to our live stream.
That's true.
So in a roundabout way, yeah.
Let me make sure audio sounds good. We sound good. Part of me, you know, now that I'm like sitting here, like
The internet's best sounding podcast. You heard it here, folks.
well, I was literally just about to. Oh shit, whatever. I just dropped my headphones. I was about to say like, why do I even use my fancy podcast mic? Because it just gets all muffled over Skype, anyways. My podcast mic's quality is as good as your internet.
We gotta do. Yep, that's all we got. We're riding on Spectrum Wi-Fi.
Better than what I have. Like the Gator shirt, by the way. I can't see you when you record, so I'm just watching past you. And I am assuming Karen, you still has.
Oh no, I started stripping when we were talking about Lord of the Rings,
you?
so that shirt popped off immediately.
I cannot wait to get to that part of the stream. But yeah, man, I can't believe we're gonna subject ourselves to playing UCF. I'm too scared, dude.
And I think it's time we raise our national profile and play the national champions.
Finally play the 2017 or 18 whatever Natty Champs. That's a good point.
Yep. When is it more relevant to play
than right now,
the fake national champions from 5 years ago?
In 2030, yeah. Wonderful. So my opening topic, I'm like perpetually late on consuming pop culture stuff. I think, as most people know, unless it's like a big movie, and then I'll like make time for it.
Unless it's Snyder Cut, you're there day one.
I actually did not watch it day one. I watched half of it day one because it's a very long movie.
So then the second half was day two.
Again, though, I did just say big movie, and I'll make time for it, and I had ample enough warning that was going to come out. So, so Snyder Cut, I did see. Last movie I saw in theaters was Tenet, and I enjoyed it. So
my internet dropped there. I thought you said the last movie you saw in theaters was Ted.
It was Ted. It was actually Ted 2.
Oh, okay. Which I did see in theaters.
The one without Mila Kunis. Yeah. No, it was Tenet, and it was good. I enjoyed it. So you know, I still haven't seen Falcon and Winter Soldier. I still haven't seen Loki. I know my nerd card's gonna get revoked. I am so sorry about that. I literally just told Ryan I was reading all day for work, so that's what I was doing all day. So I really don't have a lot of time, but I finally made time for Invincible, and I can't tell you included, how many of my friends have been like, bro, you haven't seen Invincible, really? And I'm like, no, I haven't. And like, you have to see Invincible. So I finally sat down and watched all 8 episodes. There we go, Invincible. And it reminded me of an interview that I saw with between Robert Kirkman and a YouTuber named Comic Tropes. If you have not watched Comic Tropes, okay, I was going to say, he is so good. I love him. He's a breath of positivity. He's great. And apparently he's friends with Robert Kirkman, a.k.a. the creator of Invincible.
That's crazy.
And I'm going to use the term creator loosely. And the only reason I'm going to do that is because of what our opening topic is. And that is that I believe, personally, that Invincible, though good, was a wholly unoriginal story.
Invincible.
Yes.
Oh yeah.
What did I say?
I know. I got some audio cut in my ear, so yeah, no. Okay.
Yeah. So I liked it. I liked Invincible. There were definitely parts of it where I was like, The whole like cut to the title card every time someone's about to say the word thing got really not cute really fast. And I was just like, oh, they did it. I was like starting to guess, like, I bet they're gonna say Invincible right here, and then they do, and I'm like, oh wow. So that's whatever. But I liked it. You know, there are definitely parts that I was like, oh, we didn't really need this, but there are parts that I really liked. But I feel like on the whole, it's a very unoriginal story, and there's nothing wrong with that. But I think the reason why I take umbrage with it. Are you still with me, or is your internet active?
No, I hear you. I hear you.
Okay. The reason why I don't want to say I take umbrage, but the reason why I'm like, this wasn't as powerful as I wanted it to be, is because it was clearly a Superman story, clearly like a DC story. And one of the interviews that I saw between Robert Kirkman and Comic Tropes, I think the guy's name is Chris. I wish he's a really I'd love to talk to the guy one day, because he just seems like really nice and really into comics and everything.
I think we have more viewers than he does, so we could probably make that happen.
Yeah, see if we could. But he was talking to Kirkman, and basically, like, one of the things Robert Kirkman was talking about was when he worked at Marvel, and he worked at Marvel like very briefly, and he realized that he started like butting heads with one of the editors, and apparently he had only ever really published indie stuff. And when you work at a company like Image, you don't really have an editor because it's creator owned. So Image is basically like a distributor, and they like take a cut off top. But you own the rights, you retain the rights to the characters, You know, I mean, you are really the whole like success or failure of the story, and that's why Image is so cool. And Robert Kirkman, working for Marvel, like butted heads with the editor, had problems with other writers that worked there that were like trying to give him tips. And like there were parts where they'd be like, "Hey, we're gonna, you know, have so and so look over your work," and he's like, "Well, I don't need someone to look over it. Like you know, this is my work." And then at one point they're like, "Hey, we're gonna have someone letter your work," and he's like, "I can letter it just fine." And they're like, "No, someone's gonna letter it," which basically means they're gonna write the dialogue. And the reason that he didn't like that is because he realized he didn't have full creative control anymore over the story he was trying to tell. And Invincible, clearly IMO, a DC story. It's clearly like with DC analogs. So I pulled up a list real quick of like some of the main characters from Invincible. And so like Invincible, I would say son of Superman or Superboy.
I just want to jump in real quick because I can't remember if it was an interview from Kirkman or that I was reading, but or someone was talking about that one of his inspirations was like Peter Parker. Like it's just like such a Peter Parker story. Okay. And kind of like that idea of being with Marvel, like he wanted to play on these tropes. And I was thinking a lot about you said, like, yeah, it is an unoriginal story in the sense where it's like very much by the book, very much, you know, coming of age, superhero gets his powers, you know, this fights.
And also like, oh, who was actually shocked at Omni-Man?
Oh yeah, you know? No. I mean,
like no one.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. I do think that the praise it gets relies heavily on the end. I think the last couple episodes really picks up steam. There's some episodes in there that are just like, man, like really kind of forgettable. You know, again, I always rag on the animation. It's not
the animation. I hate to say it, animation is not good many times.
It's nothing that's really impressive. But I think though it really picks up. It really kind of finds its footing there at the end and kind of becomes. Kind of becomes exciting and kind of gets on this big scale, which is why I imagine it would be in animation. Spoiler: there is a live action in the works for Invincible,
yes,
which will probably be dreadful. I can't imagine they get all that into one movie and it doesn't suck.
No,
but yeah, I had read that where like you know he was like I just want to play with Peter Parker, but I don't want to have Peter Parker that I have to stick inside that box.
Well, and so for him, there's many reasons why you wouldn't want to stay in the continuity. You're bogged down by canon. You have editors. You're bogged down by fans saying, "Oh, so and so would never do that." Okay, well, guess what? Mark Grayson can do whatever I want him to because I created him. And I totally get that. I mean, I personally saw him as a Superboy / like Nightwing character. But I guess if he said Spider-Man, then boom, it's Spider-Man. I can't argue with him. But still, so we have like a Spider-Man analog character-wise.
Oh yeah.
Powers-wise, he's.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Omni-Man is like clearly Superman.
Obviously.
Right.
Obviously.
Adam Eve, she to me was the most like original, but her powers were so OP and rarely used. Like she can transmute matter. Okay, anytime he's hurt, make him better. Boom.
Like optics, if you look at her, Starfire is what I would say.
Yeah. She looks like Starfire, which I think would fall in line with the Nightwing Grayson. His name is literally Mark Grayson. Throwing that out there. Robot, which I'm on a Reddit thread right now. They say Iron Man. I mean, when he gets his new body, spoilers, maybe. But to me, it's more of like a Red Tornado before that.
Or Robot from Doom Patrol.
Yeah, Robot Man from Doom Patrol, 100%. Rexplode is Gambit, so you know, okay, that's a Marvel one. Duplicate, there's a lot of like multiplying characters. Shrinking Ray, I mean, we'll call her Ant-Man, we can call her Atom, whatever. I mean, it's the same power set. Monster Girl, clearly the Hulk.
Yep.
Black Samson, your guess is as good as mine. I still don't even know what his powers are.
Black Samson, he's the guy who like doesn't have powers and then he like gets his powers.
Yeah, and then
it's
he
not
does.
Very clear. I mean, there is an obvious Batman analog, but I guess maybe he's that or God, I can't believe
he's more Iron Man than anything.
I can't believe I'm forgetting his name. Who's the guy? He's in the Tom King series, the smartest man in the DC universe, like Mr. Mr. Incredible. No, Mr. Incredible. Mr. Terrific. Yeah. That's kind of how I thought he was.
Yeah, I think Mr. Terrific's probably closest to it. Damien Darkblood is Hellboy and John Constantine.
So heavily.
It's clearly
blatant.
Hellboy.
It's fine. I mean, and I think like at a point it is so blatant that it's like, well, okay, yeah, obviously.
Yeah. Well, that's what makes Invincible weird, is because it's like almost a parody, almost a satire, but it's not, because it's a real story. But these characters are clearly other characters. And then to me, the most profound, like, dude, this was one for one, was the Guardians of the Globe, which is the Immortal, which I guess you could call him Superman. There's really not a better. I mean, if you're really going for DC characters, it's a villain.
He might even just be like Hercules. That's who I
Hercules.
thought of.
Okay, whatever, Hercules. You know, he's Abraham Lincoln at one point, so like, who really cares? War Woman is Wonder Woman. Green Ghost is Green Lantern. Martian Man is Martian Manhunter. Red Rush is the Flash. Darkwing is Batman, and Aquarius is Aquaman. Oh my God, that's literally the Justice League.
Yeah.
So like, and there's nothing wrong with that. But my point is, I was sitting there and I was thinking about it after I finished it, and I was like, man, this would have been such a cool like Elseworld story. Like, what if if Krypton didn't blow up? That was just a cover Superman used, and really they're like, he was here to colonize. Like, this would be awesome. That'd be really cool.
You couldn't do that. So, I mean, it's Elseworlds, but you couldn't really get into the I think what you said is interesting. Do you think that, like, fundamentally, like, these, like, comic characters could be broken? Like, you need... The archetypes are there. They're perfect. People like that, what we can do with them, but they have such a legacy at this point. It's like getting a nice pair of shoes. It's like, it's so great. I love to look at it. They're comfortable. It works, but... I can really only wear them when I'm around the house or I got a carpet to my car because I don't want to mess them up.
Yeah, that's actually really funny. That's me. I have a pair of Gator Jordans that I've had for a few years.
I've seen them. I've always seen them. Never on your feet, though.
I only wear them to games because it's like, oh, I don't want to mess these up. And so, like, I don't wear them any other time besides when I'm, like, in a jersey or something. And so it's like, I think you're right there with it. I think you're right. Yeah,
but then I mean, that's why I
think
think it's interesting, and obviously Invincible has like an incredibly long run and deep currents and everything.
It surpasses anything DC analog,
right.
Of course.
So I think that's what's most exciting is like, here are these characters that I like. I can look at and be like, I like Superman, I like Batman, I like Spider-Man, like I like these characters. Now I'm gonna see them evolve like in a whole divergent path. I get to kind of see it from scratch. I don't have to be like, oh wait, let me like dig back and read this back issue so I really understand what's going on here. Like, I know they're just gonna diverge, and I can just hop on that train. Yeah. If it continues to be an analog, like it's more of a less of a divergent, more of just like weaving in and out. You know, I could definitely see that's a valid criticism. That it's just the same.
Well, here's my answer me this, liberals, question, which is, what about every time there's a reboot in continuity? I mean, this very easily could have been a reboot in continuity for DC. Boom. Okay, we just had, Professor Manhattan reached his hand back in time and changed things.
Would you kill off the entire Justice League and like start like they're essentially like this is like
they literally have a dark multiverse in DC right now. Scott Snyder has told most of the stories. Okay, so you just have an ongoing dark multiverse series. One of the dark universes didn't get destroyed, and it's this one where Superman's actually back.
So they are doing. They are. Are there? I mean, what are you saying here? Like, is it like the missed opportunity for DC or?
Okay, so the reason why I feel like it's a missed opportunity is because Robert Kirkman's a great writer. Obviously, say what you want about the originality of his work. He makes millions of dollars, and
we don't.
In this world, that means he's a good writer. Yeah, I don't make millions of dollars. He's written more comic books than I have. The Walking Dead has 3 TV shows right now. I don't have a single TV show, so I'm not criticizing him in the slightest. I'm simply saying, if DC and Marvel, the big two, didn't have shitty contract practices, because it's apparently awful to work for them. Up until I think a couple years ago, they weren't even giving healthcare. So like apparently it's just terrible to work for them. It's all contract based. You don't own a single thing that you create. I know I've talked about it before. Alan Moore owns absolutely nothing on Watchmen, even though those are his original characters. I'm going to get to it. They're also analogs, but he created those with Dave Gibbons. If DC didn't have shitty business practices when it came to allowing people to write for them, I feel like Robert Kirkman may or may not have been more willing to make this the DC show or story it should have been. To strengthen my argument, I'm going to point to another Amazon Prime TV show. This time it's live action, The Boys. Speaking from complete ignorance, having never seen it, I believe Garth Ennis was the guy who wrote it. Yeah, Garth Ennis. Sorry, I hit my mic. I have seen interviews with him where he said that this is straight up a DC, not interviews, but I've seen people talk about it, and I think I've seen him talk about it, where basically the understanding that this is a straight up DC rip, and he just didn't want to have to get stuck in continuity. He didn't want to have to get stuck with the whole like royalty idea, like who owned the story. So he just said fuck it, and he created basically all DC analogs.
Yeah.
And so to go through complete ignorance: Homelander, Superman / Captain America. The Deep is Aquaman. Queen Maeve is Wonder Woman. Starlight is Stargirl or North Star, which is a Marvel character.
A-Train is Flash.
Yeah, Translucent would be Emma Frost or Martian Manhunter. Popclaw, I don't know who that is. X-23. Nubian Prince is Black Panther. Totally understand that's a Marvel character, but if you're going to steal, why not steal from everybody? A-Train, the Flash. Vought American is just some MCU character.
Well, Vought is the corporation, so it's like
okay, there you go. So it is literally like the MCU.
Oscorp, or it is the. I think it's the MCU. Yeah.
Yeah, and then the 7 would be just the Justice League. Which there's literally 7 people in the Justice League. So my point with that
is the Butcher, the Punisher, or something.
Probably the Punisher, or closer to Batman, actually, from what I understand.
That's actually dang, straight up. I like that show.
So my point being, here's another writer who's written for DC, specifically with Vertigo, who has a history of knowing what their business practices are like, having this great idea, and either approaching an editor and saying, hey, I have this great idea, and the editor going, dude, you can't do that. Or the editor going, oh, that's great, we're going to make a lot of money. And he's like, you mean we, like as in us, right? And the editor's like, no, I mean like DC. And he's like, oh, fuck you, I'll just go to Dynamite, which is where who published it originally. So my point being, it's like on one hand there are these like bad like contracts that are standard that people have been doing forever. And so if you sign the contract, I mean, good for you. You're writing more DC books than I am. But at the same time, it's like draining probably, I don't say most creative, but draining these interesting stories from your canon because you're stuck in this box.
Yeah. Well,
this old bottle.
I mean, to your point, that box you're stuck in kind of already precludes them. It's not even like, oh, they did that story first. You like kind of knowingly have passed on it because you think it's going to rock the boat too much. And
yeah.
You're kind of putting yourself. But the one thing I will say where it's like, darn, this just could have all been, great stories for the original characters. There's also something about them being like these analogs and these knockoffs where it kind of gives it a little edge. It feels a little punk rock where it's like, stick it to the man. Like, yeah, here's Homelander. Like, he can fly. He's got a cape.
Yeah.
Like, it's also, it adds a little bite. It adds a little interest, I think, to that message.
I think so. And if you are part of the Amazon Media, whatever their fucking production corporation is called, or division of Amazon, I mean, it's a big fuck you to HBO and Time Warner and Warner Brothers and AT&T. It's just a big like, dude, fuck you, dude. We're gonna do your characters, and you're gonna have to fucking take it. And like, that's kind of cool.
It is.
That's kind of punk rock. I
mean, I would never describe Amazon as punk rock, but yeah, no. I mean, they're going with like I would describe Amazon as like unscrupulously savvy, and they're just like, I can't get Superman. These people have been for decades writing Superman stories and stuff, and I feel like it's also a good satire of their business and those movies. So let me just go for it. Like, smart.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. And I'm not faulting them for it. And it's not even, if anything, it just shows even more what they're like, because they find this like The Boys before, which was popular in comic book circles, but not really like big pop, like in pop, totally fine. And then they're like, man, this thing is basically DC. It's almost making fun of them, and no one's bought the rights yet. Awesome, we'll do it. And I mean, like, Netflix did the same thing with Mark Millar, the guy who wrote Wanted and Kick-Ass and Kingsman and Superman Red Son and a bunch of other Marvel Civil War. He wrote that. Mark Millar, he has a thing called Millar World, which is like his imprint. I think it was through Image originally, and Netflix bought all of it. And Netflix, I think, is publishing his shit now. Same with Amazon. Image doesn't publish Invincible anymore. I mean, okay, it's still set. When I say publish, I mean like print. It still says Image on the label, but from what I've been told by the guys at my comic book store, which I don't even know if they're a good authority on this, allegedly Amazon prints those books now on Image.
I mean, I believe
because
it. I mean, they could crank it out at such a higher volume. It's like, it's like it lets them kind of free up to print new stories, because I mean, I'm sure they have a huge backlog. I mean, it's not like it's a mom and pop shop, but Amazon can scale up like Invincible and make it the biggest comic book in the world, whereas they can, they want to dedicate their prints to new artists, new talent, dedicate their resources to that. I just pulled up on the screen. There's an article that says Jeff Bezos sees nothing wrong with funding 2 superhero shows about how Lex Luthor's arch nemesis is actually the bad guy. It's a picture of Bezos next to Homelander. So I think we went about this all in the wrong way. I think he's so actually good. Like, hey, you know what? These Supermen, they kind of suck. I feel like Jeff Bezos is Lex Luthor, and this is his campaign to knock down the Supermen.
He's Lex Luthor. That is hilarious. I have not seen that article. That is so funny. It's true, though. I mean, it's literally, Superman's the bad guy, and his company is the one making it interesting. But I think
that Lex Luthor guy, he's got some good ideas. He's got some good ideas. I'm just going to say it.
He's bald and is like the richest man in the world?
Waiting for him to show up in a mech suit one day.
Yeah. What I think is interesting is, like, to me, like, The Boys started as fanfic and became its own thing. Invincible started as fanfic and became its own thing. And I only say it's fanfic because it started with characters or character archetypes that did not originally belong to the author. They spent a lot of time writing these characters, and they define them in their own way, becoming their own characters. And I think when we're talking about characters like that, when you said you watched it and like it's kind of like punk rock, we'll take that a step further. Let's say Invincible was just this one season, and we don't get any more character development out of Mark or out of Omni-Man or out of the Guardians of the Globe if they were still around. I just from that one season don't need a background on Wonder Woman because I can kind of piece it, or War Girl, War Woman. So because I'm already familiar with her, I know who she is. Oh, yeah. I don't need to piece it together. I don't have to spend that mental energy.
Don't have to waste time.
Author doesn't.
I don't have to see the pearls fall off of Martha Wayne's neck, and I don't need to see
mom's neck.
Just get Darkwing and smash his skull in the first episode.
Exactly, and it's Batman. And so I think like it's lazy, but also smart. On one hand, you can say it's lazy because they don't have to do the work, but on the other hand, you can say it's smart because they don't have to do the work. You already know, like, oh my God, he just killed Wonder Woman.
I mean, laziness is like for your story, just like saying like, oh yeah, like tell don't show kind of situation, or writing like a James Dean type archetype into a book. This is what it's going for, and it's like I don't have to explain to you like how the sun rises and sets. At this point, our culture understands these archetypes. Yeah. It's like
these archetypes.
It's almost like now earning it and showing it is a waste of time. It's a waste of funds. It's a waste of our screen time and attention span. You're gonna lose it.
Get to the thing.
Yeah. Lose it.
And so I think that makes 2 points. I think it makes the point of that's fan fiction. It's just like with fan fiction. You're just trying to write. You don't want to spend the time developing these characters, or you can't, or you just don't feel like it. Or you just really like the characters, so you're just going to use the characters and write the way you want. And some of the best fan fiction is so well written. I'm going to go back to the Narnia Anthony Bourdain because for some reason that's the one that sticks in my head.
Rip Tony. I went to go see the Roadrunner documentary. It's fantastic. I'm a big Anthony Bourdain fan now.
Okay, well, good. I'm glad you liked the documentary. So, but I'm saying like, when you write fan fiction, you're not creating these characters, so you're just using them as a tool to write, and you're helping yourself become a better writer. And I think that's very analogous to what we've been talking about with Invincible and The Boys. But then to take it a step further, when you start making changes or you start doing these dramatic things that do change who they are or do change the background of that person, that's when you do start falling into the realm of, an original character. I guess the question comes, would that original character ever have been created if you didn't copy this person? Maybe not. But I think the best example of an analogous character that warped into something bigger and is now bigger than the source material would be the Watchmen.
Oh, Watchmen. I was going to say Daryl from Walking Dead, but yeah.
Yeah, Daryl. Well, he didn't really have any source material in the comics. He was made for the show, and then they never put him in the comics, which is probably for the best. But if we're talking about Watchmen, Dr. Manhattan, Captain Atom. Do you know who that is?
Nope.
Night Owl, Blue Beetle. You should know who Blue Beetle is, but not well. Rorschach, the Question. I fucking love the Question.
It's the guy with no face. I don't know that.
Yeah. Silk Spectre, Nightshade. I'm going to give you $1 million if you can tell me who Nightshade's civilian name is without looking it up.
Sade. Sade. Night.
No.
Nina Sade.
No. Nina Sade. The comedian Peacemaker, John Cena is going to portray him in a new in the Suicide
The
Squad movie, and he's going to get his own HBO Max show.
the Suicide Squad.
The Suicide Squad. So my point being, you don't know who the source material people are for the Watchmen. You know the Watchmen. They're bigger than their source material will probably ever be.
Did you say who Ozzy was? Who's Ozzy?
Ozymandias?
Yeah.
He's not on this DC Infinite list, but he does have an analog. Give me a second, I'll look at another one. He definitely, God, I hate myself for not remembering. It's a really, really out of nowhere. Oh God, oh yeah, put me in a slideshow. That's what I want. What culture? A slideshow. Thank you. Oh good, yeah. I'm gonna click to the very end, and it's not gonna be there, and then I'm gonna have to press back 8 times. Thunderbolt. It's Thunderbolt from Charlton Comics.
Okay.
So that actually started, what Watchmen started, I actually had to give a talk on this at the university. I literally spoke about this in a class. Watchmen started as a basically story to end the DC universe by Alan Moore, and the editor said, "You're insane. We're not going to end the DC universe." And they said, "But we did just get this brand new property, the Charlton Comics, that we bought, that has all these old characters. What can you do with them?" Looked at him and said, "Cool, I'm going to kill one of them, and then I'm going to kill all of them." And they're like, "Hey, what is your problem? We just bought these.
I'm going to drop a squid on one of them.
$millions.
I'm going to kick that one and stab that one to death.
Literally. And they're like, "Dude, we literally just spent millions of dollars on these guys. We're not going to have you reboot them just to kill them." And he's like, "All right, so what if I just like made an analog?" And they're like, "All right.
Why do you want to make an analog of the original characters, not the Carlton? You want to make a?" And he's like, "No, too far gone. I'm making an analog Charlton. Of these random characters."
Hey, it'll be better. No one will know. No one will know. And then, of course, he writes the greatest graphic novel of all time with these analogous characters. And it was good because it freed him from continuity. It freed him from all of this Charlton shit that he didn't write, that he doesn't give a shit about. And it made him do something amazing, like literally the best graphic novel of all time, objectively speaking.
The structure of that graphic novel, where it's like every issue is progressing the plot, but also introducing a new character, and then it comes around to like the most important, like that. That's literally that. First of all, that's in every single graphic novel now, and like limited series. That's literally in every television show now.
Yeah,
like it's insane. Like once I read that, and I was like, this is everywhere.
Yeah, and it's so funny that literally defined a genre. Like that Alan Moore did such a good job with these analogous characters that he changed comic books and popular culture storytelling for probably forever. I mean, at least for the next
it's a very
100 years after he did it.
If anyone ever listens to this, ever cares, who doesn't, whatever. Read, and you've read Watchmen or read Watchmen, just like now start applying it to like your favorite like limited series. I was watching like Ted Lasso the other day. I'm like, are they really doing the Watchmen thing right now?
Yeah, dude. And so it's like it's amazing to sit there and read that and realize what is derivative of Watchmen and how influential it's become.
Well, so then we come around then to is it broken? Like they were groundbreaking at their times, but now these characters, these properties, these DCs, these Marvels are so set. Can they ever get to that place again? I mean, it's all the spin-offs of them now that are so groundbreaking.
Exactly, yeah. And I think the problem, I think there's many problems. One that we can point to originally and very first is DC's really twisted deal with Alan Moore about characters that he created, where they basically told him, we'll give you the rights a year after we stop publishing Watchmen. And he's like, sick. And then he became a victim of his own success because they never stopped publishing it.
I know. I get hyped every year. There's a new like edition, but also you told me that, and I now recognize I'm just buying this guy's like another chain in this guy's bondage.
Pretty much. They have compensated him since. He doesn't give a shit though. I mean, he's obviously pretty irked. Hasn't worked with DC for a while. Fine. And I think that kind of shows, and I promise you I'm not sitting here like a mad, crazy anti-corporate socialist or anything like that, or communist, but I'm sitting here saying, like, because DC has become this corporation and they're a part of AT&T and Time Warner and Warner Brothers, and they literally are the ones who are not only taking the movie stuff, but they're also publishing the comics, whatever. it's not the reason I make that is because it's not like there's like a DC Incorporated that's totally independent and they lease the intellectual property to another company to make to a movie studio. It's like all owned in house now. Because of that, there are things that are too set in stone that you almost cannot play around with anymore. And every time that they try to do it, it gets critically panned as soon as it comes out. The New 52, it might be a controversial opinion, I think was really good for the DC universe because you got a lot of good stories out of it. And someone like Jeff Johns could come in and take Aquaman, who was like a B-lister at best pre-New 52. Fight me on that, and you're wrong. And he literally defined the character, and the story that was used was the one that was put in the movie because it was so interesting. Because he went back and took this original lore and said, what are all these weird inconsistencies? I'm going to boil it down into something good. Same thing with Superman. The Superman one was a little weird, so maybe not a good example. Batman, Scott Snyder totally redefined the character in a great way, and people hated it because it's like, oh, this isn't what I've been used to forever.
This isn't my Batman.
Exactly, and they're like, you're gonna make him have to earn being a hero? No, and so they just, every time that they do that, people get pissed. So why, now that we're sitting here talking about it, why would you want to be Robert Kirkman and redefine Superman? Fuck you. Like, I don't, maybe I don't want to.
You would get a lot of hate for it. You just don't want to do it.
Exactly.
All that being
and here I am. I was going to say, here I am, not to cut you off, complaining. And Brian Michael Bendis has ruined the entire Superman everything. He's awful. He's a terrible writer. It's terrible. He's doing terrible graphic things to my favorite character. I haven't bought a Superman book in like 3 years.
Indy.
You literally is like, we just sat there and watched Indy. He was our friend. That's how I feel about Superman and Brian Michael Bendis writing him. I'm so glad he's getting kicked off of the book. AKA is transitioning.
What he's done is like kept it so boring and stayed in the lines, and I guess in a perverted way, like giving the fans what they wanted. Like, they were going to revolt if they did something new and fresh. Like, if they had gone totally... So, it's like all the little decisions you make to appease people, at the end, you look back and you're so far off from what anybody asked for. You're so far off from the goal, which is just, making a story that resonates with people. Because you just... You appeal to them at every step of the way. And all of a sudden, you got Rise of Skywalker and... Ryan's walking out of the movie theater throwing his ticket in the trash.
So it's so funny that you mentioned that because I've been thinking about it, and it's like, what do you want as a creator and what do you want as a consumer? And it's like I feel like those things are in dialogue. I know on Goodreads I saw you share that quote by Orson Scott Card about how everyone's going to read the book differently and have a different version of the book in their head. That like you're collaborating on making the story, and I think that's a really cool way to put it. And it's like I almost feel like these properties, in a really roundabout way, when it all becomes about what you think is going to appeal to most people, it's almost like you're democratizing a story. It's almost like you're saying, what if we just did like Star Wars 4, but it was just like the same thing, but there's like a girl now and the thing is like bigger and it can blow up more planets? And you're like, yeah, people like Star Wars 4. And you're not like, it's almost...
Yeah.
I just say it. It's almost like as a creator, you have to be that mean dad where it's like, I'm not giving you what you want. I'm giving you what you need.
You need like a vision of someone who just is not afraid to tell a story. They have a story they want to tell. They're not going to compromise on it. Because if you build it from this like piecemeal of like, all right, well, we really where we're going. So like, we can't do this because people get mad about this and this and this and this. And you make all these little binary decisions based off of exterior factors. And then at the end of the day, you're like, oh, shoot, we have a story. We're done. Did anybody even really come up with this? What is this? Is this original? Is this like amorphous hodgepodge of public opinion and none of it fits? And it's kind of like some parts of it are like good. And then some parts of it are like, what is that? Like, it's just, you need storytellers who are unafraid to just be like, this is my vision. This is a story I'm telling. Boom.
Yeah. Bold. And I think we talked about this last episode. I probably bring it up too much. But like, it's really hard to name any Marvel directors
or writers. I mean, try
and that might
single
only
writer.
Because...
I mean, the director only has. Dude. I mean, you can name some directors because like, and
Ryan Coogler just for Black Panther because he did help write
saying?
it.
Like, I mean, and who knows the amount of treatments those things go through before they actually make it, into the actor's hands. And then as soon as that wackadoo. Robert Downey Jr. touches the script, who knows what's going to come out of his mouth? You think
this
Rocket
is all
Raccoon
improv,
is reading
baby.
the script, bro? You think
I bet
Vin
Groot's not
Diesel's
reading the
not,
script. That
Vin
guy's
Diesel's
crazy.
just freeballing for his family out there? But
Just like Groot.
but I totally forget the point I'm going after. But you can't name a writer on any of these movies, and they're the ones who are crafting the story, because it's just a think tank of public opinion. And that's why we like guys like Neil Gaiman, and we like guys like, I mean, even Robert Kirkman to a degree, and Alan Moore, because even though they make something that's so weird, it's just so original. And sometimes it falls flat, and but it's definitely not compromised.
No, and again, I know I've talked about it way too many times. Say what you want about the Snyder Cut. It was definitely a Snyder Cut.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Can't fault that.
And say what you want about it. Say what you want about the fans complaining. If you watch that movie, you walk out of it going, that was definitely a movie made by Zack Snyder.
You cannot debate that. I will.
And it's like, that's fine if you didn't like it, but Daddy gave you what you needed, not what you. And that's a weird way to put that. Now that I made the dad reference,
Yes.
Never mind with that. But you get what I'm saying. It's like, and maybe that's probably where I'm sitting right now with these specifically comic book things, because I spend so much time reading comics. I don't fucking care anymore about what I want from a comic book. Like I care about what I need that I don't know that I need.
Yeah, no,
And
I want
I'm
new.
serious.
Exactly.
And
I know what I
read
want,
these-
but what I actually want is something new, and I, burn the past, tear my heroes down,
I don't know.
or pump them up, do whatever you got to do. Like, just I want you to do what you're going to do. I want complete freedom and autonomy. So boil this down to a thesis. You say Invincible. You start this off with an incendiary statement like Invincible is not an original story. Where does all this boil down to in a fine point?
Invincible is not an original story, but that's okay. And
it's not original, but it kind of is.
But it turns into it.
Right.
Via the power of fanfic, Invincible, which originally is not an original story, turns into something that we could have never dreamed of.
So speaking of stories that are absolutely uncompromising and not for anybody but the author, maybe not even for the author, probably basically for no one. These stories are for no one. We have some fan fictions to read this week.
Let's do this.
I have 2 short fan fictions. Maybe we can view them through the lens of this discussion we've just had. They're both about another seminal work, a work that draws, no comparison from anything that came before it or after, and really boldly sets out to establish its own canon and characters, and that is the Space Jam franchise. Welcome to the Jam. I'm going to pull it up now so everyone can see. Our first fan fiction is called Welcome to the Jam, and you can find it on fanfiction.net. Sorry, it's been a while since we've done a fanfiction.net. And it is written by Argle Fumph, and the name is on the screen. So this will be a short. We got 2 little ficlets today. We're going to start with Welcome to the Jam by Argle Fumph. Captain Kirk stared in shock. Really brew it. Okay, what's up?
I'm really sorry. Did we talk about the Porky Pig rapping thing on the show?
Porky Pig raps?
You know what I'm talking about.
No.
Okay. In between the 2 fics, you don't have to do it now. I'd appreciate it if you pull it up on YouTube and put it on stream, because I had to listen to it, so I feel like everyone else should have to listen to it.
All right, we will do that.
Okay, I'll shut up for the rest of the fic.
You better. All right, Captain Kirk stared in shock at the planet on the view screen. He had never seen a planet like this before. Why, it looks like a theme park, Dr. McCoy. I'm not going to do the accent. Dr. McCoy gasped. An entire planet designed to make money off of tourists. How awful. Doctor, a man as knowledgeable as yourself cannot be surprised by the nature of capitalism, Mr. Spock said in a haughty tone. Capitalism? That's exploitation. You can't tell me it's good to turn a planet into... Captain Kirk ignored the usual bickering between Dr. McCoy and Mr. Spock. What's the name of that planet? He asked. Moron Mountain, said Mr. Sulu. Not the most inspiring of names. I will try to do Mr. Sulu. Captain, we're being hailed, Lieutenant Uhura said. Shall we put through their communications? Sure, why not? Captain Kirk said, staring down in his captain's chair. Put them on the view screen. A fat green alien with pointy ears appeared on the screen. What the alien shouted. Are you guys Earthlings? Earthlings? Why, yes, said Kirk. I'm Captain James T. Kirk of the USS... I bet you came here to make fun of us over the Looney Tunes fiasco. Well, you can forget it. Hostile Earthlings aren't welcome on Moron Mountain. Looney Tunes fiasco? Dr. McCoy asked. He's referring to a cataclysmic event in ancient Earth history referred to as the Space Jam. Records indicate this occurred in the year 1996, Mr. Spock said. He was checking Wikipedia to get more information, but, as usual, pretended to have known everything ahead of time. You haven't heard of it before? The green alien asked. No, we haven't, said Captain Kirk. And let me assure you, the Enterprise is a peaceful vessel. We intend you no harm. Oh, really? The green alien asked. In that case, why don't you come visit us here on Moron Mountain? We can be friends. Maybe even share a game of basketball. The alien, Mr. Swackhammer, laughed evilly. While the crew exchanged wary looks, Captain Kirk smiled widely. I love basketball. Let's prepare an away team to visit the planet immediately. Mr. Spock, are you game? I am not familiar with the rules of basketball, Captain. That's okay. You're tall, and that's what matters, Captain Kirk said. It's just an innocent game of pick-up basketball. Nothing else to worry about. Everybody get up, it's time to slam now. We got the real jam going down now. Welcome to the Space Jam. And then that happens. They have all the lyrics written there. Okay, I'm not going to sing it. 30 minutes later, there was something to be serious about. If we don't win this game, they'll keep us here as slaves, Dr. McCoy said. We'll be entertainment for a bunch of snot-nosed kids. I don't get it, said Kirk. These aliens, the Monstars, they seem to be taking this personally. I thought this was a casual game. This is what I was trying to mention back on the bridge, Mr. Spock said. In the original Space Jam, the alien invaders were repelled by a group of heroic cartoon animals and a popular sports star. By playing basketball? McCoy asked. This makes no sense. What even a Space Jam? I suspect we may soon find out, Mr. Spock said. These Monstars don't look the slightest bit winded yet. While our team is exhausted, victory appears to be elusive. Well, let's trade away some of our players, Captain Kirk says. Where's Scotty? He can be the point guard. As for me, I'm switching to power forward. More lyrics? More lyrics? The crew of the USS Enterprise was down 46 to 49, and there was only 2 seconds left on the clock. I feel like you could probably see where this is going. It's impossible, Jim, Dr. McCoy said. Our best chance is to make a 3-point shot to bring the game at overtime, but we're too far away from the net. Perhaps we could try fouling or using a timeout for our strategic advantage, Spock said. Classic Spock. No, Kirk said. I'm not going to let these aliens get us. Here, Spock, you get the ball to McCoy. Bones, you pass the ball to me at half court. I'll shoot from there. Are you insane? You can't make a shot from that far away. We don't have any other choice. If I miss the shot, we'll become alien slaves. I won't let that happen to my crew. Meanwhile, the Monstars were also arguing over the game. Look, I don't want a repeat of what happened with Michael Jordan. You guys need to crush Captain Kirk. Smash him so he won't be able to get up. You got it, boss. The referee blew the whistle and the game resumed. Spock threw the ball into play, and Bones chucked it so fast towards Kirk. Kirk took aim and threw the ball just as 2 Monstars smashed him in the back of the head. Everyone held their breath as the ball went there and landed perfectly in the middle of the hoop. Swish. Nothing but net. No way! He made a shot from all the way over there! That's impossible! Mr. Swackhammer shouted. Foul called on the play, said the referee. Kirk gets a free throw. What? Mr. Swackhammer yelled. But the rules say you only get 3 points from one shot. That's the maximum. Yes, said the referee patiently. But there is a 4-point play. The mythical 4-point play, Dr. McCoy gasped. I've heard of it, but I didn't know it existed. Kirk grinned. I got this. He dribbled the ball twice and easily sunk the first shot. The Enterprise won the game 50-49. No, not again, Mr. Swackhammer yelled. How do you do that? Easy, Kirk said. I learned basketball from the best. My trainer in Starfleet Academy was the legendary, undefeated basketball player, Bill Murray. No, Swackhammer yelled. He cursed out Captain Kirk, but a deal was a deal. He had to let the Earthlings go, and he promised to never again force anyone into slavery based on a sporting event. Well, Captain, that certainly was quite the adventure, Dr. McCoy said. I'm surprised we made it through alive. Me too, Captain Kirk said, rubbing his ankle. Do you think you could look after me in sick bay for a while? I've got a serious case of athlete's foot. The entire crew laughed as Kirk hobbled away to put some ice on his ankle. End of fic.
Wonderful. So I said I wouldn't talk the whole thing. I'm talking now. At the beginning, your swank hammer sounded more like a Rick. That out there.
It's all Rick. It's okay. It's all Rick.
It's always Rick. B, of course, Bill Murray is undefeated. He's amazing. C, who did the Monstars take their powers from this time?
I think they just practice. This is like a thousand years in the future, so they probably have just been practicing. If you practice for 1,000 years, you'll probably be about as good as Charles Barkley.
Well, he never won a ship, so probably.
Yeah, you'd probably be better than him. Good point. I don't think the Monstars have ever won a ship either. Not a lot of hardware in that trophy cabinet.
Not at all. Neither did Patrick Ewing, and he's also in Space Jam. I love Space Jam. Can we talk about Space Jam for a little bit? I thought the fic was good. I thought it was funny. I liked the cross. Your Will Shatner, I thought was good, and I thought your Spock was good as well. So I enjoyed listening.
You should have heard me. You should have heard me.
It was hard not to interrupt.
Spock, earlier today. I was warming up.
That's fine.
Yeah.
That's fine. That worked. Yeah. Hello. No, that's more William Shatner.
Hey, hello.
Hey, hello.
I can't even do Rick anymore.
Oh no, Rick, Ryan. I never thought the Morty was good, but I was at least attempting it. I love Space Jam. Space Jam is like one of my favorite movies as a kid. It's still one of my favorite movies. If I had a time machine that I could only go to one place, I would go back to watch Space Jam in theaters. Baby Hitler's safe, unfortunately,
you win
because of my
round.
love for Space Jam. Damn you, baby Hitler! You win this one.
Another day
So,
safe.
I cannot bring myself to watch Space Jam 2 for many reasons. One of which is the Porky Pig video, which I know you're getting pulled up. The other one is I don't like the fact that it's called A New Legacy because I feel like it is literally just LeBron James trying to prove that he's greater than Jordan. I don't think he is greater than Jordan. I'm also pissed that they changed the animation style. I'm pissed that it's not the Monstars, that it's the Goon Squad, because I thought that was lazy as fuck. I don't know. Did you ever play the Space Jam video game?
Absolutely not.
I played it on PS1. They had two teams, the Monstars and the Toon Squad. And because I was the younger brother, I always had to play as the Monstars. But boy, did I learn to love the Monstars. I love Space Jam. So I thought the fic was good. I enjoyed it. I thought you were funny. And I really have a hard time believing that I'm going to be watching A New Legacy at any point. However, I would love for you to pull up Porky Pig. I did watch a thing recently that was, I think it was like the 7 unfinished sequels to Space Jam. The 2 I'm going to Tate Jam, and it was with Tony Hawk, and that would have been awesome. The other one was called Varsity Bugs, and it would have been a whole play on the... I love the idea. It would have been a whole play on the fact that the Looney Tunes work for Warner Brothers. And so the Looney Tunes, the Warner Brothers was going to try to kick them out because they wanted CGI animation instead of hand-drawn. So they looked at their contracts and found out that the Looney Tunes never went to high school. And it's in the contract that everyone that works for the Warner Brothers have to go to high school or have to have a high school diploma. So they go back to high school, or they go to high school.
The Looney Tunes are back in school?
The Looney Tunes go back to the dogs. They go to high school, and I think they play basketball. But apparently, one of the running gags is that Keanu Reeves also has to go back to high school, and then he becomes a big nerd. I looked it up. Keanu Reeves did not graduate from high school, so that would have been fucking perfect. And also, you know, at the beginning of Space Jam when they had a little montage with Jordan where he's like playing basketball, and then he like goes to do the dunk, and then he like turns into himself. they were gonna do the same exact thing except with a guidance counselor, and like the human analog for the movie was gonna be a guidance counselor, and they were gonna pick some comedian, obviously, but like the whole like gag is that as a little kid he had like guidance counselor trading cards and stuff. That sounds
What is that?
hilarious.
What was that one
I
called
would've
again?
loved
Tell me the name
Varsity.
again. Varsity Tunes.
Varsity
Bugs.
Varsity Bugs. Yeah,
Wow.
I love it. Is this Porky Pig?
Yeah, it's up. It's ready. I'm gonna
Are you sure the audio's gonna
Yeah.
play? All right, I'm ready. I'm plugged in.
I'm gonna react live.
Do it.
So you're gonna be on a little delay.
It's okay.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls.
We rapping now? We rapping?
Are we rapping now?
You really are. Notorious
rapping now?
P.I.G.
Oh, the notorious PIG. Here we go. Oh yeah, this animation's terrifying.
Oh boy. Here goes nothing.
Oh, get it, Porky.
What up?
Yes.
It's Porky Pig. They call me P-double-L-G. Step to me, he don't want no trouble.
Don't
I
kill
was
yourself.
famous before the
I'm
internet.
Logic.
Since
Yeah, this is
1935,
hype.
I've been getting respect. This pig is lit. I'm super legit. Every time I'm out in public, people asking me for pics. Nobody knows you when you walk the street. How your last name rhythm and you're still off beat. From beginning to the end.
Off
I'm here for
beat.
all the smoke. Your squad ain't all star. Your squad is all jokes. And it's with one bar, most famous of all quotes. This battle is now over. That's all, folks.
Oh man, that's a crazy mic drop. That's all, folks. That's a sick mic drop.
I hope you're being sarcastic.
I'm gonna go full screen for this.
I hope you're being sarcastic.
That's a sick mic drop.
Did you actually like that?
But that's all, folks. Dude,
Okay,
that was
so if
like
you're
oh man, that was like going to a Macklemore concert, and then you're like, I can't wait for Macklemore, and then they're like, Macklemore's sick, and you're like, no, and they're like, instead we've got Logic, and you're like, yeah. That's what that was like.
I don't know if you can tell, but he's on Spotify with this song.
Let's see it. Hold it back up to the screen.
Fucking Christ.
That's the exact still that I have up, man. I mean,
know.
iconic. I'm not gonna watch the rest of that video because I absolutely hated that, but that was sick, bro.
Literally, the worst part is that it's Porky Pig.
It sounds like the beginning of Alphabet Acrobatics, which is a good
what's
song.
that?
That's a good song. You should listen to that song after this.
Okay.
It's a hip hop song where they essentially go and use every letter of the alphabet, only words that begin with that letter. Alphabet Acrobatics. I can't even say it. Fantastic.
That's how spiritual lyrical miracle it is.
That was awful. That was truly dreadful, and that's a thing that I now know exists in the world. Honestly, it kind of makes me not even want to read the second fic, but I'm going to do it anyway. I'm going to do it. It's an incomplete fic, so let's just keep the ball rolling on just huge disappointments.
I'm already on the stream, so here you got the biggest one.
There you go. The biggest one of all was for you at the end. Okay, so this one... Chapter 5. Spoilers, excuse me. This is on Archive of Our Own, the beta. Don't go to the actual one. Go to the beta for Archive of Our Own. It's called The Sponger Games. And I guess you could probably put together what it's about. But I'm going to jump into it anyway. You may talk as much as you like. I'm going to get it started. The Sponger Games, Chapter 1, the beginning. Chapter 1, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. SpongeBob ran into the woods, kelp forest, the water in his bowl swishing as he ran. Oh, fuck me, he's above ground. He heard the crackling of twigs under his shiny shoes as he ran to safety. He knew that Shrek would be waiting for him by the lake. They had formed an alliance. Yeah, I need you to do Foley for this. Just make sure. Give me some Shrek noises as well. Shrek is also in this.
Donkey!
He knew that Shrek would be waiting for him by the lake. They had formed an alliance. I hope the people who live next to you just like were eating dinner and they just like looked up like a gazelle on the Serengeti. And they're like, "What? We gotta move. We gotta move today.
We have a Shrek problem.
We've gotta move, honey." The resale value just fell through the floor. They had formed an alliance shortly before the games. He knew he could trust his closest friend, for now. He sighed with relief. He had found the lake. Meanwhile, Shrek
Donkey!
was cleaning off the collection of swords he had claimed at the cornucopia. Do you get where this is going? He had already killed 2 in an attempt to stay alive. He heard someone approaching. He braced himself, ready for a fight. It was Mike Wazowski. Shrek... Yeah,
Donkey?
charged at him. Mike grabbed Shrek's wrist.
Sorry.
Whoa there, buddy. Let's speak on a personal level. Green to green. You can trust me, Mike said. No, I can't. I'm not doing the accent. You'll have to kill me to win, so you could kill me any second, Shrek replied. But I admire your strength. I respect that. Get away from me, you monster. This is my swamp, Shrek roared.
This is my swamp! Oh, that's bad. Fuck it.
This is my swamp.
My
This is
swamp!
my
It's like a
swamp.
Pee Wee Herman Shrek.
Mike...
This is my swamp!
All right, Mike ran back and... All right, welcome to the internet's zaniest slapstick.
Donkey!
That sounded like the character from the end of I Scream, but I Have No Mouth. Donkey! Why am I what I am? I'm going to pull that up now.
Donkey!
I have no mouth.
I have no mouth. and
I'm
must
typing
scream,
in
yeah.
I Scream, but I have no mouth. This. You look like this. Yeah,
Harlan
you look like this guy.
Ellison.
Donkey!
Donkey!
All right, Sponger Games. We're getting through this. Mike ran back into the woods, heartbroken. Why is he heartbroken? All right, meanwhile, SpongeBob approached the clearing. He jumped into the lake, taking off his bowl helmet. Shrek chuckled, glad his friend was safe. SpongeBob swam over to talk to Shrek, who was sitting on a tree stump. What do we have? SpongeBob asked, pointing to the bag Shrek had claimed in the bloodbath. Let's see, we have 3 knives, a bow and arrow, a water purifier, 2 sleeping bags, a week's worth of food, and some rope, Shrek concluded, zipping up the bag. SpongeBob shrieked, pointing at a moving figure running towards them. It was Shadow. Shadow the Hedgehog.
Oh, Sonic
I
High
know,
School.
a little Sonic High School in here.
I thought he was in Echidna.
No, that's Knuckles. That's Knuckles.
Okay.
As I'm reading this, I realize
Fuck,
this
do I-
is a Hunger Games story and not Space Jam. So we're gonna keep
Space
going.
Jam? Yeah. Isn't it
It's
called the
Sponger
Sponger Games?
now that I'm looking at it. Yeah. Chapter 2. We're gonna read at least another chapter of this, just to give the author their due. There's an additional tag. It's called Hulk Hogan -freeform. I don't know what that means. And Macklemore's in this, so it's good. And Shia LaBeouf. Okay, Shadow ran over and hugged Shrek. SpongeBob was bewildered. What was Shrek doing defending the enemy? What in the world? SpongeBob said. Calm down, SpongeBob. Shadow is my friend. I met him in the training center. He's our ally now, Shrek said slowly. Nice to meet you, Bob, Shadow said, extending his hand. That's SpongeBob to you, SpongeBob replied, slapping Shadow's hand out of the air. Sorry, SpongeBob, Shadow said, dejected. He sat down on the ground and pulled off his bag. SpongeBob was furious. How could Shrek make a new friend when they were in something as serious as this? SpongeBob sank to the bottom of the lake, needing some time to think. SpongeBob's sobs rose up in bubbles, loud enough for both Shrek and Shadow to hear. I just wanted to help, but SpongeBob sure is upset. I should just leave now, Shadow said. Don't leave, we'll work things out, Shrek replied with a desperate tone. Shadow hugged Shrek. Okay, but only for you, he replied happily. I took us way off course. I should have quit when I was ahead. Meanwhile, SpongeBob was planning something. He knew it was wrong, but he had to do it. He had to kill Shadow, of course. SpongeBob rose up to the surface as Shrek and Shadow were talking. They didn't notice the yellow figure moving swiftly as he put on his water helmet and grabbed one of Shrek's 3 knives. He crept up behind Shadow and stabbed him through the back. Shadow fell, and the cannon sounded. End of chapter 2. Quick poll. Let's throw it in the chat. Does anyone want to hear this, or are we good?
I'm going to be the answer of one. If you want to end,
I think we're
we're good.
I think we're good. I think it turns
says
out
Hunger
that
Games.
Shadow was not dead. It was actually William Shakespeare from District 4 that got killed. That's
Is that
an
a real?
actual,
What the fuck?
That's an actual thing. SpongeBob
Like a Hunger Games
SpongeBob.
thing?
Well, no, William Shakespeare is he's a playwright from the United Kingdom.
Oh, okay. Never heard of that before.
SpongeBob makes a mental list of his squad, which is Mike Wazowski, Mickey Mouse, Mario, Marth from Smash Bros. And Fire Emblem, Michelangelo, not the turtle, Martha Stewart, and Michael Jordan. See, that's what Michael Jordan is how that's what I thought.
Michael Jordan.
Wait a second. Okay. Here we go. Chapter 5. Michael Jordan proposed they play a game of space-tastic basketball. Okay, all's not lost here in Chapter 5. They split up into teams. One team was made up of Mickey Mouse, Marth from Smash Brothers and Fire Emblem, and Mario.
Smash Brothers, yeah.
And the other team had Michael Jordan, Michelangelo, and Martha Stewart. Wow, that is not balanced. That's like the 2017 NBA Finals. Mike Wazowski was the referee.
Yeah.
Mickey's team was known as the Slammers, and Michael Jordan's team was known as the Jammers. They slammed and jammed so hard, the game was heated. Michael Jordan was killing it, of course. He slam dunked with his famous arm-stretching technique at least 15 times. SpongeBob cheered. He was a huge fan of Martha Stewart, and he wanted her team to win. Suddenly, an arrow shot through Marth from Smash Brothers and Fire Emblem games, shot through Marth's back. He fell to the ground. Mario screamed. Who could have committed this evil deed? It was Stephen King. He ran straight back into the woods, but it was too late to avenge Marth from Smash Brothers and the Fire Emblem games. They had a funeral. They covered Marth in flowers and played "In the Arms of an Angel," the song from the ASPCA commercials. Mike pounded on his freshly laid grave, torn by the loss of another friend. I love that image. Why? He says, little claws banging on the dirt. Meanwhile, Stephen King was partying hard. He was on a hot kill streak. He remembered his liberation from his first kill, Shia LaBeouf. He was trying to eat Shia LaBeouf because he is a cannibal, but Stephen shot him in the Shia. That's pun. Stephen marked the victory by smearing the cannibal's blood on his trusty bow. Next were Shaggy and Scoobert. They were easy targets. Good for using Scooby's real name. They were easy targets. He remembered Shaggy's last poetic words. Zoinks! Stephen held a single tear.
Zoinks.
How beautiful. He should have been saved, but Stephen savored the victory. Stephen had an alliance with a person of the same first name. His name was Stephen Hawking. They adventured together in the days before the games. Stephen K. was a great pal. He was willing to sacrifice himself for the safety of Stephen H. He would save his friend. And that's it. That's it. We got a little Space Jam in there.
Is Stephen Hawking in a mech suit?
I would assume not. I assume he's kind of like, he's like Oracle. He's like calling out all the shots for Sir Stephen King as he runs around and, you know, giving him like tactical support. But he's
just
still,
very slowly.
Yeah. Microsoft Sam.
Yeah.
Well, that was, you know, a disappointment. So I'm sorry about that.
Well, every time you go up with one, you got to go down with one. So you went up with the first one, you got to go down with this one.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
Well, that's fine. I don't see any problem with that.
Yeah. All right.
Wonderful.
Well, that's it. That's all, folks.
Space Jam: A New Legacy has a 4.3 on IMDb.
Made a lot of money, dude. People liked it.
How did it make money on HBO Max?
No, in theaters.
It did not make a lot of money on theaters. You're lying.
It did. Oh, here we go. Here. Oh boy, here we fucking go again.
What? It just couldn't have. It's so bad.
Sophomore slump. Why Black Widow and Space Jam quickly sank at the box office. Space Jam, Black Widow fall 69%. Oh man, that's great. Oh, every headline falls 69%. Space Jam: A New Legacy so far has grossed $51.4 million in the United States.
51?
Yeah.
That's definitely not budget.
No, definitely not. Space Jam 2, 3,965. I mean, it's the biggest hit of the summer.
Okay.
Projected the film would bring in $20 million. That's what they projected. Black Widow's made $264 million.
Okay. The box or the budget was $150 million. And then typically what they don't tell you is they normally spend, depending on the movie, almost double sometimes the budget on other things.
Oh,
like
yeah, marketing. Especially Space Jam. Are you kidding me?
Yeah, it's everywhere. So if they only made 94 million at the box office, there's no way that they made 200 million, which would still be less than double, on HBO Max.
Yeah, in an unexpected
no
win, Space Jam: New Legacy, LeBron James dunked on the competition with 31.6 million in ticket sales alone on the first weekend. So that's not bad.
That's whatever. They're going to blame it on the pandemic and not on the fact that Porky Pig is the notorious PIG. Do you know what I guess the plot is of that movie?
Space Jam 2.
Yeah.
His son gets sucked into Don Cheadle's internet, and he's got to go save him.
His son doesn't want to be a basketball player. He wants to be a video game designer.
But that's not true.
And he gets lost.
His son literally is.
Yeah.
All right.
I know. So he gets lost in an algorithm that Warner Brothers made to come up with movie ideas or something like that.
That reminds me of that episode of South Park
awesome
with the manatee in the Family Guy, like the manatees pushing the balls around.
Yes, that's exactly what it is. I did just see in the chat, good old Chris said he's good. I'm assuming it's about whether you want to keep going on the fic. With you there, Chris. Thanks for watching.
Shout out, Chris. Hey, Chris.
Shout out, Chris.
You're welcome.
Really appreciate it, bud.
Let's get you as a guest on the cast.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, he apparently wants to be a video game designer, which obviously isn't true. Gets sucked into the algorithm. LeBron goes too, and the only way he can save his family and his son is if he plays basketball. Apparently, it's an hour and a half, or what is it, 2 hours? However long the movie is. Apparently, it's just one long ad for all of the Warner Brothers products. I guess they literally show Game of Thrones characters, or they mention Game of Thrones. So
I did see Rick and Morty are in it.
Yes, exactly. They're also in Fortnite, so. Yeah,
I think we started with a pretty good discussion, and we ended it with Rick and Morty and Fortnite. So that's about right.
I don't know what more you could ask for from this show.
Yeah, to quote my good old Chris, I'm good. All right, I'm good. I'm good. You guys started out pretty strong, but I'm good. I'm good.
I'm good. Yeah, I could definitely stop watching. I'm good. I'm good. I'm good. I'm good.
Oh boy.
Very sick. Very sick. I liked the first one. I thought it was fine. So I don't know why. You didn't be too hard on yourself. The second one, it was just,
Welcome to Suck My Fanfic, the internet's #1 podcast where every other week I read a fic for 20 minutes and then Alex spends the next 40 consoling me and making me feel good about my choice.
Of course. Rosario Dawson actually voices Wonder Woman in Space Jam 2. I'm looking at the voice cast right now.
Wonder Woman is in. Oh yeah, and wasn't she the voice in that Flashpoint paradox?
Yeah, she normally voices the animated Wonder Woman nowadays. One thing I totally didn't get to mention with the Invincible stuff. I'll be really quick about it. I feel like one of the reasons the animation was so bad is because they were trying to integrate CGI with still computer but hand-drawn animation in the computer. And they did a really bad job. CGI would be completely computer generated. You can tell when it gets wonky.
Yeah.
If you want a good version of that, watch the original Justice League series because there is CGI and it's so new. They try to use it whenever they can. Sometimes it looks weird, but most of the time it looks really good. Just throwing it out.
Yeah, I mean that's for really fast moving scenes. They can make those models and back. I remember the original Spider-Man cartoon. The opening sequence had a really weird computer generated background and a static character swinging through it. But if you watch any of those new Disney Marvel's Avengers or Spider-Man show, they all kind of look like that. It's a little, it's a big budget kind of animation. So
yeah, and I think to go to Space Jam, one thing that really bothers me is there used to be a thing called a house style. Disney used to have a house style. Marvel used to have a house style. DC sort of had one, but never really because it wasn't as mainstream production-wise like Marvel was. And Space Jam basically said, we have that house style for our characters that we've had since the 30s. Fuck it.
Yeah, let's make them really uncomfortably...
3D with texturing, but they're not supposed to look too real. Fuck you.
Yeah. But again, man, Porky Pig rap, dude, freaking saved the day.
Porky Pig, yo. Terrible. Fucking terrible. Ryan, what are you stoked on?
Bro, stoked on. Whoa, he caught me off guard. What am I stoked on this week? What have I been stoked on?
No, that's what I'm asking.
This is tough. This is a tough one, bro.
It's tough, dude. Dude, this is tough.
Dude, this one? This is tough cookies.
Dude, this is kind of tough patootie said the cutie, dude.
I think I may have. No. No.
I mean.
I did mention earlier, I did, against most of my better judgment, start watching Ted Lasso. I'm gonna go ahead and drop a bomb on you guys. I know this is what this. I know that's what
take.
Stoked is for introducing you to new content that you're not gonna find anywhere else. Ted Lasso,
I'll take.
pretty good. Ted
Sick.
Lasso is pretty freaking good.
Sick.
The #1 Emmy nominated Twitter darling is a pretty good show. Get out there and watch it.
It is a Twitter.
Yeah, I like that show.
That is true.
It's good. It's nice. It's very earnest, which I like. It's very
Yeah.
earnest and very positive, and it's not like satire-y. So, which I love satire and smarmy and
Yeah.
stupid stuff. But this is refreshing. It's nice.
Good. Well, I like Jason Sudeikis, so I'm glad that it's popular and
If you
it's
like
good.
Jason Sudeikis, yeah, I highly encourage you pirate it.
Pirate. I think I have Apple TV. I don't know.
I accidentally subscribed to Apple everything.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't own anything Apple, but I might have it.
All right, bro. What are you stoked on?
Dude, you should have kept going on your stoked on, so I could think more about my stoked on.
You know what else I'm stoked on?
Shit.
I'm stoked on good old Chris. I just want to take a moment real quick. Shout out good old Chris. Thank you for listening. Thanks for the honest feedback. And I hope to see a lot more out of you. And if I don't, that's fine. That's fine, bro. Just want you to know you made my night. You really did. Yeah, throw it in the chat. Because it's probably more. And if it's really good, Alex will steal it. And he'll say he's stoked on it.
Have I been stoked on Akira before?
Yeah.
How about have I been stoked on the whole Akira before?
You also been stoked on
Fuck
Sandman
me.
for
No, it's not fun. I ruined it.
30 out of 65 opportunities, so that's fine. Yeah.
What, for Sandman? Well, speaking of which, they are releasing part 2 on Audible on September
Part
22nd. Part 2. They're also releasing a Nancy Boys TV show on Amazon Prime. It's going to come out after Good Omens Season 2, which is not based on any book that was published, just a working book that Neil Gaiman was writing before his co-writer died. What am I, dude? The thing is, I've been working so much. I guess I can say I'm stoked on the school year starting soon. Thank you, Chris. He says no problem, and you're welcome. Well, thank you, buddy. That is great. We do really appreciate you tuning in. If you're stoked on something, let us know. But man, I'm just stoked on the year kind of moving forward. I guess when you're stuck in the whole like academic calendar of things, the summers may or may not drag on, and mine didn't drag on or anything like that. But I'm in like a really good place with work right now to get stuff done. So I'm excited for the end of August, so I can kind of get moving with things and kind of get I don't know, kind of work more. Right now, it's all like really, really independent stuff, and boy, oh boy, you have to be really disciplined to do that. So I guess I don't know. I'm stoked on new beginnings, quite frankly.
That's nice. That's nice. I'm happy. I'm happy for that for you.
Yeah, appreciate it.
You sure you're not stoked on Space Jam 2: Next Legacy?
I can definitely tell you I'm not. I can definitely tell you. I'm trying to think about any like stuff I've watched recently too. I started watching 2001: A Space Odyssey. I just didn't finish it. I like the book better. I'm a pretentious bitch, and that's why I said that. What else? As far as like books go, I've just been reading a lot of like war anthropology books. So if you want to hear about those, I can tell you about those.
I think we'll save that. As we wind down, just want to throw another plug. We do have another project in the works that we're talking about, discussing, thinking about. Throw it out there. Keep your eyes peeled in the coming weeks. Check our social medias feeds. Yeah. Those are up on the screen.
Oh, okay.
Oh boy, here it comes.
I'm stoked on our plans for episode 69.
Oh, episode 69 is going to be a straight banger, bro.
It's going to be pretty sick. I think it's going to be pleasurable for all parties involved.
I think everyone's going to have a great time. Put it in their ears.
Yeah, let's just make sure we all take a nice shower before we do it.
Okay, so this has been Suck My Fanfic, the internet's #1 podcast that doesn't know when or how to end. And
Nope.
follow us on most social medias. You can find us, so you see it on the screen, at Suck My Fanfic on Twitter. That is our #1 most active place. Download us, find us. You found us once, you can do it again, but you can find us on anywhere fine podcasts are found. Suck My Fanfic, the podcast, 65 episode backlog. Go ahead and listen, peruse, see what we got. We get a lot worse. And then we get a little better, and then we get worse again. So we really peaked and then had some falling action again. So in the spirit of keeping things different and wacky, Alex, do you have any parting thoughts for our friend good old Chris?
Dude, you can't do that 2 weeks in a row. That's literally been a thing the entire time. Well, we should remember, and you're gonna hit me with that 2 times in a row. Chris, I hope you have a great night. Quite frankly, I hope anyone listening has a great night, great day, great evening, great midnight. I don't really care when you're listening. I hope you're enjoying it. I hope you do not let Porky Pig ruin your dreams, like he's ruined mine. He's in all my nightmares. He's living rent free in my head right now. And yeah, that's all, folks.
Good. Nice. Flames outro.
I dropped the mic.
Classic.
Have you played the thing yet?
Oh man, my computer just crashed. We're still live. Wait a second.
Awesome. Yeah, dude, about Chris. No, I'm totally joking.
Dude, that Chris guy?
That Chris guy? Honestly, dude? Oh, wait, we're live?